It's time for another gun show review, and today we're going to be talking about the show this past weekend in Greensboro, North Carolina. That is the only show where I go and set up a table, and I have for about the past 12 years, on and off. The Greensboro show years ago used to be a pretty large venue. It was, if you look at the way the state is, you had Greensboro, Raleigh, the state capital. The shows were always quite big there. I think it's I forget the name of the promoter. There's two different promoters that run gun shows out of the state fairgrounds in Raleigh. Then Charlotte was always another large venue down there, which that's kind of toned down because they've moved. There used to be gun shows in Lexington, and not anymore. I know a couple guys out there in Asheville. There's a show out there, and that had the same problem that the Greensboro show did at one point in time. They tried, some people tried shutting the show down, and it was not successful, and it goes on. And I know Asheville, there's some guys that comment is a fairly good show and gets a good turnout. Well, Greensboro, used to be like that. And as I said in my other reviews, going down to Fayetteville, which was a decent sized show, wasn't as big as Greensboro used to be, but it was a lot bigger. That got scaled down, and when I was looking for reloading supplies, I also noticed a lot of the guys set up selling reloading stuff weren't there. And I guess now they've all changed. I don't know if it's political, terrorism. Somebody gave me a flyer for another smaller show in November. I've never heard of it, but I was looking at the rules. You can't display more than 20 pounds of gunpowder, smokeless powder, in 1 pound cans for any vendor. No black powder, no gunsmithing on the premises, no reloading on the premises, all this other restrictions. And they must have changed it with Greensboro, or just because all the other venues have done it. I did not see any dealers, the large dealers that bring a ton of reloading stuff, powder, primers, bullets. There was 2 or 3 that used to show up at the Greensboro show, and I did notice they were absent. And one guy that used to bring reloading stuff, he also sells ammunition. He had quite a big setup there. His reloading supplies were very limited, and basically the ammunition was all he had out there. Well, I used to do these reports for panic buying, shortages, and all the crazy stuff. And over the years, ever since the Democrats got voted out of office, it's all kind of tapered off. And now a backlash, I believe, is coming, that a lot of us that have been around seen it coming, where they had record years of gun sales for many, many years, the 8 years of the Obama administration. And I believe they said that even this year in North Carolina, using the background checks as an indicator of gun purchases or the number of gun purchases, that the first half of this year had a larger amount of gun purchases in the state of North Carolina than any other year prior. So, there are limits to everything. And I mean, the buying frenzy is kind of dying down. Like I said, also another thing I've noticed, the shows are getting smaller. Now, the promoters and the people that hosted these things made fortunes back during the panic days, the buying, the ammunition hoarding. Like I said about the Winston show, you couldn't get in the parking lot. There was nowhere to park. Okay, and I think that show was $8 to get in, and parking's free. I mean, thousands, they made a lot of money. They've gone up. It used to be $8 admission. I think now C&E is $10. And the Coliseum, I believe, in Greensboro, because that's where it's held, at the Municipal Coliseum, Special Events Center. It used to be $9, $10 or something, and now it's like, I think, $11 or $12 to get into the gun show. So that's gone up. And also, Greensboro's venue, you have to pay $5 to park. Okay, so it's almost a $20 bill to show up. So a lot of the vendors said, it's going to drive people away. We're not going to get a turnout. And then you go down there, it's $80 a table. I was looking around, some of them guys say have 5, 10 tables, and you don't get a break. If you get 10 tables, it's $800. If you go and spend $800 to rent the tables, and I forget it, there's an add-on for electricity, you got to pay so much more, and Wi-Fi so much more if you're running something transmitting your credit cards and that. So it gets expensive. And when you don't sell anything, this last show was bad. One, it was smaller. There were less vendors or people there. So the amount of rows and tables has shrank. The first years I went there, it was like at least 60% more people, tables, vendors, things there. Now it's gotten a lot smaller by, more than half, I'd say. There's actually, they have an area with tables you can go sit, which that was never the way it was. And I remember going in there when it was wall to wall, you couldn't get down the rows, it was all packed. The turnout was good. There were people in there, okay, not like it used to be, but it was a fairly good crowd on Saturday, and a lot of people came through. Unfortunately, a lot of people didn't spend a lot of money. They just wandered around, and I talked to a lot of them. I did not sell one gun. I sold some odds and ends, some parts, pieces, and some ammunition. I was fortunate enough, I think I sold 3-4 boxes of ammo, and I had a bunch of stuff I was lugging around, surplus ammo that's older than dirt, okay? And I just lowered the price and got rid of it because I'm going to get out of my surplus ammo. I've sold it all off because it's been lying around a long time, and it was old to begin with when I got it. So I kind of eliminated that, and I'm streamlining what I'm going to fool around with here in the future. So that was done. It bargained giveaway prices, but it's gone. So that was one thing I accomplished, and if it wasn't for that, I really wouldn't have generated any money. At least I got the table money back, and I did buy one thing from someone, and the guy I bought the stuff from, he told me Saturday that was the largest transaction he had, and that was not a large transaction as far as I was concerned. But he said, yeah, he goes, that was the most money anybody spent all day. So I said, that ain't good. As for the panic, people ain't paying, because ammunition prices are dropping. And people, go up there and, I got stuff discounted now. Can you do any better if I buy out? No. You're getting it for nothing as it is. I'm not going to cut the prices back anymore. I'm losing as it is now. And people just got this attitude. There were a couple other fellas selling ammunition. They're commercial reloaders, and he had like 300 blackout and everything else packaged pretty nice. And he goes, can you do any better on it? He goes, compared to going and buying Hornady brand bullets, it was pretty reasonable ammo for match grade 308 ammo with a Hornady target bullet on there. Yeah, So you had a lot of that. There were not a lot of sales in terms of the guns. As far as the military surplus, my wife went around and said that stuff is everywhere. There were the SKSs are coming in, the Chinese ones, so there's a bunch of those used. The M44 style carbines, there were people with a bunch of them. One guy had about 20 Japanese rifles, a whole collection or pile of them. And there were some other nice carry-on relic type guns, some old Mausers and that. Some I was even interested in, but without me having any money coming in, I didn't want to come back from the gun show and be in a negative column, about $1,000 or so. I just can't do it. But there was some decent stuff at a decent price, okay? People ain't going to give away good guns in good condition. I mean, and there were a bunch of beat up guns that were overpriced, so, that's always there. But a lot of people walking in carrying stuff. Not so much the assault rifles. You did see people with assault rifles. There were some people with some old military rifles, a few Mauser 1893s and that I seen. Some people may have had Nagants. Nagants are still popular. A lot of sporting guns were there. But I did see, and I have seen at the different shows, a large number of FNFALs, which a good one, good brand, good make, is about $1,000 item, depending on who made it or if it's assembled from parts or whatever. But a good FNFAL, if it was a nice build or make, it's nothing to sneeze at. It isn't a $200 gun, put it to you that way. And you see people wandering around trying to get their money out of them. The panic and craze is not there. Ammunition, a lot. What I sold was the Japanese 7.7 and the 6.5. I always sell it. I think I sold some 30-06 ammunition I reloaded, and that was about it. But the Japanese still, a lot of people buy them. A lot of those guns around, a lot of people shoot them. 3220, okay, is another hard to find cartridge. A lot of people don't stock it. I sell it, but nobody got the 9mm Largo or the Sire, which those are hard to find, but didn't move. A lot of interest, but then people, were coming up to me, another dealer. Oh, well, he wanted to knock $10 off a box. I said, what are you, crazy? I didn't steal the stuff. The markup on that isn't that high. And but that's just the attitude you got. And most of the people I knew there and talked to, not a big sale day. Didn't make a lot of money. But as my one friend said, you got to look at it. You go there, people see you. If you're there all the time, even though this show didn't turn out well, people will come look for you and the things you're selling if they like it. So it's kind of like the flea market. You got to go make your presence known, because even if you don't sell anything, if you kind of don't go, people stop looking for you, and then you're not going to sell nothing when you do go there. So it's tough calling whether or not I'll go to the next one in 6 months. And it was bad because they announced 3 or 4 times, come and sign up now, pay in advance, or tell them that you're coming to the next show in January, so they can get an idea of how many people are going to have. And so that's the way it is. There wasn't no panic. It was a good turnout. Not a lot of money changing hands one way or the other, so it was pretty slow. Of course, it is summer and that. And see, that panic. Nobody's in a panic. When it was panic time, anything you had out there, ammunition, gun parts, this and that, would disappear. I remember going there and just selling just about everything I had out there. Okay. So it's a different thing, and like I said, with all these new restrictions and that, you're not seeing reloading components. So these people, the vendors, are not showing up, which is shrinking the show. And of course, less people attending, they're going to want to charge more money to the people who promote it, or the people who rent the building out, or where at least, however the deal is there. they're not getting their cut now, and it's kind of pissing them off. So you're going to probably see the admission price bump up, and that's what kind of creates it, the increase in the admissions. But it's a sad thing, this up and down spikes. It was something kind of fearful that the value of your guns also kind of goes down. If the retail value goes down, and as used guns, it goes down even more. So it's going to be pretty rough. Hopefully things will just stabilize and kind of calm down. But as far as gun shows go, you get less and less people coming, less and less people setting up at them, so you have less people in there selling stuff. And again, like some people commented on the last video I made about this, there is, you want to go to a gun show and you go in there, and a good 20-25% of it is either accessories. They had women selling jewelry, handbags, clips and that, and parts is usually, it's always there. But there's more of the beef jerky, selling the shoe shine stuff, the fake swords and knives, that was always in there, but there's more of it. And, a lot of the accessory dealers more than just guns. But, so that's my report. Kind of sad, that it's all kind of dying down. I see this as a trend, that they're all tapering off in both the people setting up at the show, actual gun dealers, and the people attending the shows, and the shows are getting smaller in size. So it's a pretty disturbing trend, and really kind of takes the fun out of gun shows, because you always get these odd small dealers that show up with something unusual or interesting, but that's kind of dying out too. Alright, well that's my take on it, and stay tuned.